Hello and welcome to episode 59 of the Alfa Romeo Driver Podcast. I'm Guy Swarbrick, and with me today I have Sat Flora and Harris Ahmed. Some of you will have seen the pair's distinctive GTV at Spring Alpha Day, and we caught them before they headed off for their charity challenge. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us.
Now, Sat, some people will have seen your GTV at Spring Alpha Day with lots of interesting handwritten messages all over it. Tell us a little bit of the background about how you ended up with the challenge that you've taken on.
We're a group of friends, a group of four lads who love to drive, love to travel, and we all became friends through cars. And it's got to the point where we're more than just friends, we've become family, so to speak. And we've always wanted to help back and help charities, help the community and give back to the community as much as we can. So last year we did the NC 500, where we raised just over £2,500 for Cancer Research UK and Loris, which is a local Leicester charity. And this year we thought we'll do something bigger and better. So hence the charity challenge. We're doing a cheap car challenge, and we set ourselves a bit of a budget, a bit of a plan, where we said we'll have a £500 budget, buy a car, £250 to get the car road legal, do any servicing, modifications, anything like that. But that's really it. As I said, there's four of us. We split ourselves into two teams, and here we are. Regards to charities, we selected two charities. Again, we've always wanted to select charities that are close to home. Either we've had somebody in our families or in our friend circle who either relates to that charity or benefit from that charity, or we have some sort of an indication as to, or a link to that charity, right? So we've chosen Memphis, which is a children's charity, again, in Leicester. They support children with disabilities. And we've also selected Dementia UK. Again, we've had family members suffering from dementia in our group.
We saw the GTV at Burley House, but that's not quite where things started, though, is it, Harris?
No, it's certainly not. So our search began, as you do, in all of the right places to find a cheap car, which is Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace, eBay, and there's slim pickings these days, especially with the car market as it is for the £500 budget. So we had our work cut out, to say the least. We went through a number of options. I think the most amusing we missed out on, it would have been a London taxi with the Pretty Little Thing branding, which I really wanted.
Bright pink.
Yeah, it was bright pink. So that didn't work out.
How long's your journey?
It's across to Amsterdam. Okay. So I think
not too bad in a London taxi. I thought if you were doing Peking or something, that might be a bit much.
That's actually a good idea. Maybe for our next one, Paris to Peking rally in a London taxi.
Yes.
Note that down, Sat. Anyway, the other option we both were really keen on was a Mazda RX-8. But again, trying to find one in budget was a massive project, to say the least. So we went for a Toyota Celica initially. It seemed like the safe, reliable option. It did have a bit of an issue with revving through the rev range completely. It would stop at about 3,000 RPM and not go any further.
It did have cup holders, though.
Which is important on a long journey.
That's a good point, yes. But anyway, so it had that issue, and it was actually quite easily fixed with a £15 part, which Sat kindly did. And once we revealed the cars to each other, we got a lot of flack from our friends for the car. So I think we'd decided to again explore that option of getting a Mazda RX-8, which was very difficult, like I said previously. But we continued to browse, and we started coming across some questionable Alfa GTVs, which needed a bit of work, to say the least.
Spring pans, by any chance?
No, that was the one thing we did do a bit of research on and made sure they were good, as that would have been costly. We actually found one with the door caved in.
Harris, I just ask you a quick question, if I may. What are the three things you're not supposed to do when going to buy any car, let alone an Alfa?
We looked at it in the dark.
Number one.
We turned up in a car that also broke down.
Number two, which is French, just for the record.
When we Thanks. And when we opened the bonnet hinge snapped. So we only got the one look at the engine bay.
Okay. Let's not forget to add that it was raining. And
it was raining. The battery was dead completely. So we couldn't switch it off either on the way home.
Doesn't sound like a gamble at all.
Not with an Alfa.
Not with a Rolls Royce.
Yeah, so that overall, I think we ticked off all of the things that constitute a good buying experience for a car that's under 750 quid. Anyway, the journey home was done by Sat. He commented on how bad the lights were on the way home in the dark.
That's another point, actually, because one of the headlights were out.
Well, see, that's one of the advantages of buying a car at night is you get to find that out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did, however, though, on the motorway, get thumbs up from other people. So clearly we bought the right car because I didn't get any of that in the Celica. Did not get any of that in the Celica.
Yes. So, yeah, we managed to get it home. We didn't break down on the way home or anything like that. So, already.
And how close to your £500 budget was it?
We got it for...
Start for what it was listed for, please.
I can't actually remember.
So the car was up for £1,000 and we shook hand at £625. So,
and I think at the moment, given the insanity of the used car market, that's close enough for government work.
Absolutely. And when you look at what's available in the market with an MOT and MOT is running and not spares and repairs, it's very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to just add at this point that even though we went over the £500 budget with another £125, we still followed the rules and did better than the other team. I know this is an Alfa Romeo podcast, but I think it's very important to just call out that the other team, I'll take their names, Gary and Dusty, spent £1,000 on their car and walked away with, or drove away, should I say, with a Volvo S80 T6 Executive G-Tronic with a fridge and wishy-washy wipers.
It shouldn't rain in July, should it, in the UK?
Wow. I hope not, because we need to change the window wiper blades on our Alfa.
So anyway, you got home eventually, presumably, without your headlights.
Yeah, so there was two challenges I faced on the journey home. So one, as you can imagine, nobody gives you a car with fuel because fuel prices are extortion at the moment. Went to the nearest petrol station and couldn't figure out how to open the fuel filler cap. Harris, luckily him being really small and short, he climbed into the boot, found the red tag and he did the manual, the release. Later realizing that there's a safety switch or a security switch where if the car's still on, the button on the dash doesn't open the fuel filler cap. So because we couldn't turn the car off because we didn't know if the battery would start the car again, we couldn't actually put fuel. So that was challenge number one. As Harry said, the headlights were out on the driver's side. So I was literally driving in country roads and the motorway with either full beams on blinding oncoming traffic or not seeing oncoming traffic because my lights were off. But yes, we got home eventually.
And so you're a little bit over budget on the purchase. You've got £250 to get it ready. How's that going?
That's interesting because we've had to do some clever accounting because...
What's your profession, Harris? Sorry?
He's a clever accountant.
He's an accountant. No money laundering is taking place, just for the record.
Yes. So we sold the Celica for a profit. That profit went back into fixing the Alfa to get it up to standard. Now, once we had it home, we found that obviously the door needed dressing. It was completely caved in from an accident. The boot lid had holes where the spoiler would go. So we thought we'd replace that as well.
I noticed in the article there was a special optional extra as a water feature in the boot. I don't know if that was by the spoiler holes or just a very smart marketing person trying to sell the car.
That we had the inner CV joint on the drive shaft making all sorts of noises. And we also found a sticker in the engine bay for the cam belt having been done last in 2007. So those were the things to address. Now, luckily, with the profit we made on the Celica, we were able to address all of those and still come in under budget.
And this is it a 2-litre twin spark or a Busso?
Twin spark.
It is a 2-litre twin spark. And I must mention, the only reason we were able to get, stay within that budget is because we had some help from people along the way, such as Gary at Totally Alpha. He actually sent us out a water pump and some timing tools. And then we also managed to borrow some further tools for doing the cam belt. A helpful chap on Facebook called Andy, who's, I believe, is part of the club.
And have you found out yet whether it's one of the twin sparks that burns oil or one of the ones that could have been hermetically sealed at the factory? Because they're usually one or the other.
We're fortunate that we've got the latter.
Okay.
It's the proper one. I would just like to give another shout out to Giuseppe. He's an enthusiast that we met through, I think it was eBay or Facebook, who sold us replacement doors and tailgates. But he really helped us and gave us a lot of advice and put us in touch with a lot of people within the community to get help from. And he showed me his Zoe Yellow Spider and taught me through a couple of things to look out for, timing belt being one of them, oil burning being another. So yeah, I think one thing I've really found about the Alpha community is it is a community. We've grown up, in fact, Harris and the group of us, we all became friends through the Volkswagen scene.
Right.
You know, being 18, 19, getting our first cars and whatnot, we became friends through that journey there. But being part of the Alpha community, I feel like we've gone back in time because you're part of a community again and people are there to help each other out. As Harris said, Andy from Facebook, you know, he was willing to give us his tools and kit to help us do certain jobs. And it was really nice to see that because especially in this day and age where that community spirit isn't what it used to be, it felt like there was good in the world again.
Yeah.
You know?
Presumably Giuseppe told you how rare his Zoe Yellow Spider was and then you turned up at Burley House and there was Zoe Yellow Spiders and GTVs as far as the eye could see.
Absolutely. I was saying to Giuseppe when I drove in, I had to put my sunglasses on because all I could see was just yellow everywhere.
Yeah, it's the biggest collection I've seen for a while.
Dusty, the friend is in the other team. He's a mechanic by trade, Southfield Autos here in Leicester. But because we decided to change the car and we got a lot of stick from them for the Toyota, we decided we're not going to tell them what car we've got. Okay, so this purchase, all of the work we've done, we've all had to do undercover. We threw them off track as to what car we bought. They thought it was a Mazda 323 with pop-up headlights, because we told them pop-up headlights on the way forward and you know, just let them down a rabbit hole. So yeah, we had to do a lot of the work without him knowing or them knowing. But when we did release the car, you know, we obviously now have the better car of the two, because Volvos, as we know, are all boring and Alphas are a lot more fun.
No one ever says every petrol head needs to own a Volvo, do they?
No, it's not something I've heard.
I've not heard any Volvo podcasts either.
I'm sure there is one. To be fair, our 105 registrar in the club, who looks after all the gorgeous 1960s and early 70s Bertoni coupes, is actually also a Volvo enthusiast. So there are some crossovers.
If he's listening to the podcast, then we didn't intend to insult him. But yeah, just on the point of giving a couple of shout outs. So I just want to say a big thank you to a number of either businesses or individuals. So Andy from the group, Giuseppe, as we've mentioned, Gary at Totally Alpha for donating the water pump and some tools. Rio Motors in Leicester, they are Alfa Romeo specialists as well. They offered to respray the door and the tailgate for us to body colour. The ones we bought from Giuseppe were black and they didn't charge us a penny for it. So really pleased that they were able to come forward and really help us out. Obviously Southfield Autos, because once Dusty knew the car, he's done a lot of work for us since as well. So a big thank you to him. I'm sure I've missed off tons of people, but
and I think you're in the right place. You know, the East Midlands section of the Owners Club is one of the most active and kind of enthusiastic sections in the country, and I think that's partly our overall club chairman also runs that section, John Griffiths. But I think it's just also there's a fantastic Alpha community in that part of the world.
Yeah.
If you'd been in Scotland, you might have struggled. Not that the Scots are less enthusiastic; they're just more spread out.
But yeah, just want to say a big thank you to everyone. What I realised, and then Harris and I concur on this, is it's amazing how many people are willing to help if you just ask. You know, the Facebook groups and the Owners Club group, you just put a message out and people are willing to ask answer questions and help out. So yeah, really big thank you to everyone.
Okay, so we're all ready to go. We've had lots of help getting there. I think there's been a slight change of plan. The plan when you were at Burley House was to go in the next couple of weeks, I think, but now it's been delayed a little bit.
That's right. So we were due to go out on the 16th of June. we started booking ferries, and unfortunately that's as far as we got. But due to personal family circumstances, we've had to delay ever so slightly and push it back to July. So we are now traveling out of Leicester on the 20th of July. We will be returning back to Leicester on the 25th of July. So we're doing a 5-day journey, and our route is from Leicester, where we're kicking off, all the way down to Dover, across to Dunkirk. We'll be driving through Bruges up to Rotterdam, and that's all one leg of the journey. We'll stop the night in Rotterdam, and then we're heading over to Amsterdam, where we'll spend 2 nights, and then set off back there to return home via Brussels. We'll spend 2 nights in Brussels and then back home again on the 25th.
Sounds like a brilliant trip if you make it. We
will, because we've been told there's a lot of Alpha enthusiasts in the Netherlands.
Netherlands is amazing.
So hopefully some of them will also listen to the podcast, and there's subtitles or audio description to go with it. And if we need their help when we break down, if we break down, should I say, they'll be there to support us. And if they want to buy the car when we're there, the Volvo has...
That's also welcome.
The Volvo has DVD players and headphones in the back and a fridge, as I said. So I'm sure we can sit in the back of that and have a pleasant journey home.
Yeah. Actually, my experience of being stuck in traffic jams going to the south of France is there's a lot of Dutch Volvo drivers with caravans as well. So you may have a captive market for both cars. That's the plan in terms of the logistics. The purpose is to raise money. So how can people support you by giving you money?
So we have a Just Giving page set up, justgiving.com/crowdfunding/the4on tour, all words, no numbers. You can follow us, and I'd really appreciate if we can get the listeners to follow us on social media. So we're going to be posting our journey on Instagram. Again, it's the 4on Tour 2022. Donations are all going to go through Just Giving, because we want to make sure it's all audited and we want to be transparent, but also we can then gift aid off the back of that. We are asking any companies, if anybody owns their own businesses or anything, would like to sponsor us, and we would certainly put their names on the side of the car and give them a thanks and then publicise their business. So if anybody would like to sponsor us, we'll please let us know. But yeah, ultimately the donations are all happening online.
Okay, and then there's potentially one last donation. I think the plan, once you come back in time for National Alpha Day, is to pop along to Bicester and auction off the car. Is that right?
Exactly that.
Potentially, yes. Yeah. So potentially, yes. There's the 2 final donations, and I've already said that, given that we've got the Alpha GTV and it's all sorted now, I think we'll get the bigger bulk of it, and the Volvo might.
I also think Harris is going to buy the car himself.
Yes, that's the other issue me and Sat are fighting over, because we have fallen in love with the brand even more, having attended the Alpha Day, which didn't help my hankering for a 156 GTA that I already had. And obviously meeting Andy, he's got a 147 GTA, and him showing me around that, is making me really want an Alpha next.
Well, you definitely don't want to have a look at the June issue of the magazine. Then we have a GTA 20th anniversary special. We had nearly 30 of them at Bicester Heritage a couple of weeks ago.
I'll give you Harris. Harris's home address. You can post him a special copy. I think we ticked off a lot of our firsts in this challenge, because again, Harris and I, first Japanese car.
Yep.
The Celica.
However short-lived that was.
It was short-lived, but it was still a tick in the box. In fact, I think my brother drove it more than I did, because every time you had to go up to Sainsbury's to get some milk, I was seeing the Celica being driven. It was a trolley more than a car. But yeah, first Italian sports car and first Alpha. So.
Well, if you two do end up fighting over it, the GTV makes an absolutely cracking track day car. Very nice little project that would be.
Just one thing I wanted to add, if I can. So we've tried to be very selective with the charities that we worked with. And this time around, we wanted to make sure that the charities, all the donations that we raise as a group, we want to know how they get used. So we've had the opportunity to meet with both charities personally. And we've had, again, the opportunity to ask some more questions that our followers have put forward. Now, one thing that was very interesting, I just want to share this with the listeners, is both charities, believe it or not, said as much as the money is important to us and goes a long way and helps a lot of people, the awareness is the biggest thing. And I just want to echo that and repeat that. The awareness of the work that these charities do, and any charity to be fair, is so important because there's a lot of good work they do and a lot of help they give. And if anybody does need any assistance or help, these charities are always there to help, which, like I say, was interesting that both charities said exactly the same thing. If you can do nothing else and raise no money, just share awareness of the help that we offer.
So just to echo that further, so if you, see the car about and, follow us on social media where we are sharing, visits to these charities to see what they're actually doing and where the funds are going. That is all, very, very helpful as Sat's, mentioning.
We have the cars all stickered up, as you saw that Spring Day. There are QR codes on there. So if anyone does see it parked around, they want to donate, you can always scan the QR code. But please follow us on Instagram because, as I said, when we met with the charities, we had the opportunity to ask questions. We recorded it. We've got videos and, we've got a full idea and we want to share that with everybody about the facilities they have and the good work they do. So please follow us on Instagram. As I say, it's the 4 on tour in words and followed by 2022. And as I say, just giving the links and all that are all on that.
Brilliant. We'll put all of that information in the notes with the podcast as well.
Thank you very much. We are targeting £10,000 to raise for both charities. They'll be split 50-50 across both. That £10,000 is our target so far. We've hit 25% of that, so we're just over £2,500. Not, as Harry said, when we come back from the trip, we're going to sell both cars, and all proceeds of the cars will also go to the pot, as will gift aid. So we have a long way to go, but we're hoping once we start the journey, donations start flooding in.
Brilliant.
If anyone has any challenges they'd like us to do on the way, we want to do like a Top Gear style trip, please DM us on Instagram, or we'll see if they're one, legal, and two, if there's something that won't break the car, and we might do them. So
brilliant.
Yeah. We want to have a laugh, we want to have some banter, and
so we've already got one which is which involves music from the year that the cars were made. So the teams are given playlists to the other team to play during the journey. Obviously, the more awful, the better. Yeah,
I was going to say, you're sitting there finding the most terrible tracks released in that year.
Exactly.
And just for the record, the Volvo is a 2002 car. So if anyone has any songs that we can add to the playlist, the worse the better, please let us know.
Brilliant.
Hopefully you guys can all follow the journey.
Looking forward to it. Brilliant. Well, good luck, guys. I'm sure you'll have fun. Unfortunately, having missed you at Spring Alpha Day, I'm not going to be at National Alpha Day either. My other job as a sports photographer means I'm covering the Commonwealth Games in Warwick, 15 miles away.
It feels a bit personal now.
Yeah, I know.
This feels personal there.
But we'll, I'll keep an eye on how things go, and we'll definitely cover it in the August issue of the magazine, which is out shortly afterwards. So thank you very much for joining us today at pretty short notice. It's been a pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Well, that's it for this episode. As I mentioned during our chat, all the details for Sat and Harris's chosen charities, their social media details, and crucially, a link to the Just Giving page are in the notes to this podcast. And the QR code on the label should take you straight to the Just Giving page. They're both great causes, so please give generously. Just a reminder that next weekend is Midlands Italian Car Day at Kedleston Hall. There are still tickets available from the club website, and it's always a great event. Once again, we'll be back in 3 weeks' time on Sunday the 3rd of July, this time with a special episode recorded at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, which will hopefully feature our first drive in the new Alfa Romeo Tonale. Episode 60 will be available to download from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podcast Addict, and all the usual sources from 1:30 p.m. Until then, stay safe.